CBS News projects President Trump has won the state of Wyoming. A large lead there in that Western Republican state. But CBS News is not projecting the winner of the presidential race at this hour. Why? Because a number of those battleground states are still too close to call. CBS's Jerika Duncan is in Philadelphia and joins us now. Jerika?
That's right. We're here in front of the Pennsylvania Convention Center, and we did go inside just for a brief moment. There's a media staging area. We were not able to see those election workers hard at work counting those ballots, but we're told by city officials that they will be counting throughout the night. Now, I can tell you that those city officials, many of them seem very tired right now, as you can imagine. Again, you have people in there that have been there since this morning. My understanding is that they are breaking up some of the shifts, but the reason for all of the ballot counting is because you have more than 2.5 million Pennsylvanians who voted by mail this year. This was the first time this was able to happen because of a law that was passed in 2019 saying you can vote by mail without an excuse. But the question really is who came out on November 3rd and how many people came out to vote. The answers to those questions will provide more answers as to who will actually win Pennsylvania. Something worth noting when we talk about Pennsylvania, obviously Philadelphia is an area that Joe Biden is expected to carry, but there are 67 counties here in Pennsylvania, many of them rural and suburban. Those are the counties to watch. Another thing to note, Governor Tom Wolf telling people that we may not have the results today, but telling people again to maintain their calmness, take a deep breath, and be patient.
Jerika Duncan, thank you. And some CBS stations will be leaving us for local election returns. For the rest of you, our coverage continues. You're watching CBS News 2020. America Decides. CBS 2020. All right. And now let's bring in Major Garrett and Ed O'Keefe with the state of the race.
Nora, thank you so very much. Welcome back to the board. And just to clarify, this is Anthony Salvanto's board, but I have negotiated a timeshare arrangement so I can have occasional occupancy. And I brought Ed O'Keefe with me here. So, Ed, again, we always start with the map as it existed in 2016.
Right.
Walk me through some scenarios.
Yeah.
I will do the punching, and we will show how the electoral vote map changes with each and every request.
If you're a Biden fan tonight, you're probably shaking in your boots wondering, wait a second, this isn't going quite as we expected. Let's set Florida aside for the president, leave it red.
Leave it red,
But
precisely.
let's give Biden, hypothetically, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Let's put that into the Biden campaign
Okay.
blue. So
and give him Michigan and Wisconsin.
Michigan and Wisconsin. Well, there you have it.
Okay, so that's one way to do it.
But Pennsylvania, we know we're not going to know tonight, so let's put that in the toss-up.
Exactly. So the other way to do it, let's give former Vice President Arizona,
which we have lean likely that way.
Okay, so we almost get there. So
he almost gets there.
Yes, exactly. We get to somebody winning. So really, in essence, then, we're left wondering about Pennsylvania, which, as Jerika just told us, could be a few days.
Could be a few days. And what is troublesome for the Biden campaign is they were hoping for some breakout here, and maybe even Ohio or maybe Iowa, and those things don't appear to be manifesting. And that weakens this set of scenarios. I don't even like to call them paths because paths sound like we're trying to lead them somewhere. These are scenarios that the campaigns have worked out. And the scenarios now, hold Arizona, don't give up Nevada.
Right.
Make sure you hold on to that. The Trump campaign is still holding out some hope. If you trade Nevada and Arizona, then the map becomes more complicated for the former vice president. And then Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania loom incredibly large.
And given the outstanding totals in Georgia, there's still a chance that one could go blue.
Yes, I think for right now, for the purposes of this scenario and any of our conversations for the next, well, until dawn at least, because they've stopped counting in Fulton County, we've got to keep Georgia in the toss-up category. So no one is there yet, because clearly Biden hasn't won Michigan, he hasn't won Wisconsin. We have a map that looks much more like that.
Yeah. It's incredible. But we
it is.
Still sit here. But the whole point that the Biden campaign was making early in the night, the one thing they were rooting for was the idea that they would win something in the Southeast to try to make some sense of a win more inevitable. And instead, that's not working out in their favor.
And let's just get down to brass tacks, Ed. polls that indicated that the former vice president was leading Trump by 10 or 12 points are not being reflected in this map tonight. They just simply are not.
And to the credit of the guys behind us, we never published.
We never said that. But there were polls out there that suggest. I know Trump voters are sitting there watching this tonight. Say, "What? Come on, guys! At least acknowledge that there's something else going on tonight that is different than some of the polls out there." And that's one of the factors, again, with the Trump effect. That whatever the polls are, there is something beneath them that is more pro-Trump than the polls indicate or can be found.
How much time do we have?
About 30 seconds.
Go quickly to Florida.
Yeah.
And dive into Miami-Dade.
Well, that I can't do because that is Anthony Salvanto. My contract for this timeshare does not allow me to go county by county. I can only go state by state.
We'll negotiate that for next time.
Negotiate that next time. Ed O'Keefe, always good to have you with us. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be right back because this continues. Coverage all night. You're watching CBS News 2020. America decides.
The CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell. Weeknights on CBS.
Welcome back to CBS News election headquarters in Times Square. It's coming up 12:30 Wednesday morning in the East, 9:30 Tuesday night in the West, and we are standing by to hear from the former Vice President Joe Biden outside of the Chase Center in Wilmington, Delaware. We're expecting to hear him call for patience from the American people because it is very clear at this hour, and with so many votes still outstanding in the three key battleground states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and with voting stopped in one of the largest counties in Georgia, we are not going to be able to project a winner tonight. And Ed, this was a scenario that the Biden campaign was hoping wouldn't happen tonight.
Wouldn't happen, but totally, prepared for it, as did the Trump campaign.
Yep.
Like we said, they were hoping for some kind of early victory in the Southeast that would give them a signal that the president's opportunity to get back to 270 would be more difficult. But we're holding out. Who would have thought plumbing issues in Georgia, for example, are holding up the vote there. We're waiting on one or two key counties in North Carolina. And then, of course, just the crush of absentee mailed-in ballots in Pennsylvania slowing things down there as well. So if he calls for patience and is encouraged by what he's seeing in Arizona and Georgia, there's still a chance. It just may not happen tonight.
And it's not just the plumbing in Fulton County in Georgia. I mean, DeKalb is 31% of the vote is in. There are a number of stronghold Democratic counties in Georgia that are very, very slow in counting, which means that the Biden vote has not come in yet from the counting.
But we've been saying this for a while, that no one will be surprised if we're sitting here at this particular time not knowing how this is going to turn out.
Exactly.
So all is going according to plan, John.
Well, it seems like two things are happening. One, President Trump is doing better than a lot of the pre-election polling showed. And then you've got these hiccups like whatever's happening in Georgia, adding another flavor to why it may take a little bit longer.
Which has been a staple of the Trump campaign. You cannot believe the polls.
And
they've been saying that since 2016, and it seems that maybe that might bear out tonight with some of the advantages that some of the gains that they've made tonight.
It's worth noting that, we always expect to have an indication of the direction, but technically, you don't really have to have a certified election until well into December.
Right.
So gear up for some litigation here.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
but I hope we're not still sitting here, the five of us, in December, right? Nothing personal, but we got other things
Not that
to
we
do.
have-
Ed, I bathed. I bathed.
You know, we should, because we are expecting any moment now to
Yes.
hear from the Bidens. Let's go to Joe Biden headquarters. Nicole Killian standing by there in Wilmington, Delaware. And Nicole, tell me what you're hearing.
Well, you have seen more supporters start to file in, and there is a mix of confidence but also nervousness here. And as you mentioned, we do expect the former vice president to urge patience tonight with the vote count. And I do want to emphasize that this is a scenario that the campaign has put out there. You know, I talked to one top campaign official who cautioned that this could be election week, not necessarily election night. The campaign has also stressed that they know states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania could take longer to count, and they were prepared for that. A top Democratic official in Michigan telling me tonight they're still confident that Joe Biden can win Michigan. It may not be decisive, but they do expect him to pull out that win. It's just a matter of waiting for the vote count, according to this official. And so keep in mind that with all that being said, certainly, as you have referenced, the campaign ideally wanted to set the tone tonight. If states like North Carolina, Florida, Georgia possibly broke their way, obviously there's still some uncertainty there with some of those races. But, you know, by and large, I also want to point out that the campaign had this strategy of 17 battleground states that they were targeting, states they wanted to protect, states they wanted to win back, and states they wanted to expand. And for that reason, that was a way that they could kind of play around and carve out a variety of different paths to 270. So again, while there is still a sense of confidence here tonight, also a sense of caution. And that's really what the campaign has kind of been telling us all along.
All right, Nicole Killian there in Wilmington, Delaware. And as soon as the former vice president takes the stage, we will bring that to you live. We had also heard that we might hear from the president, Donald Trump, at some point tonight, or now I guess we're in the morning.
Yes.
No word yet from the White House on that, but certainly we would bring you any remarks live as well. Want to check in with Major Garrett, who has some new information for us on the exit poll data?
Well, not exit polls, Nora. We're going to talk about the vote count, why it will take a little bit of time. And I want to quote both campaigns, Trump and Biden. What is their attitude about voting? Every vote counts, every vote count in a verified and accurate way. Well, to do that, in a pandemic, you have to respond to a much larger percentage of votes by mail, absentee ballots, which we have a lot of. I want to show you a map of our battleground states that we've identified for this election. And then from that, I'm going to show you the, we're going to look back at the camera, okay. So we have 13 battleground states, but there are 3 states we've already zeroed in on tonight, and the implications of absentee ballots there will be very large. So Pennsylvania has 2.5 million absentee ballots that have come in. Not incidentally, 400,000 of them coming into Philadelphia. Wisconsin has 1.9 million absentee ballots, Michigan 2.8 million. All 3 of these states could not even begin to process those ballots until today. 7 counties in Pennsylvania won't even touch those absentee ballots until tomorrow. And these are all under rules established by the states, ratified by the courts. They are not in dispute. So that it takes time is in accordance with the rules. Patience is required, and nothing is awry. That doesn't mean there won't be legal challenges to come, but you can't challenge things as we know them now. The process is being followed. The absentee ballots are larger than they've ever been in these 3 states. They all loom large on the Electoral College map. We know that now. Patience is advised, and to get an accurate and verified count, patience must be recognized.
And that's a good point. We are certainly patient, and as people are awaiting the results, I want to bring in Anthony Salvanto because he'll be able to tell us exactly how little of the vote is actually in those states in the upper Midwest that Major was just talking about. Can we go through some of those states?
We can indeed. Let's start in Wisconsin. Big picture, 63% of what we expect there to be of 3.6 million is in. Now you see every county on the map here is lit up with something. That means there has been some vote reported. The question is, what is the mix of that vote? Is it election day, which we believe favors the president, or is it early vote and mail vote, which would favor Joe Biden. It's a little bit hard to tell at the moment. Now, let me walk you through a couple of the key counties that we'll be watching. Okay, I've talked about, well, let's go to Waukesha. Okay, not much of that is still left to count. 72,000 votes, but could be really important. Question is, what kind of vote is it? I'll go back again, look statewide. I'm going to go to Milwaukee. This is really important for Democrats. That is by and large still outstanding. Only 36% of Milwaukee has been counted. So until you see whether or not Joe Biden can really run up a margin there, your vote model overall for the state is going to be more uncertain. Now, let me go and show you Michigan. Very much the same story. Okay, you're going to see a lot of red, and you're going to see a few areas of blue. This is the case in almost every state. Democrats living in cities and suburban areas, otherwise rural areas, more Republican. Now that's your count statewide, 54, 44. But then let's zoom in again. I'm going to look at Wayne County in Detroit. That is a relatively paltry number compared to the almost a million ballots still to count in Wayne County. So, long way to go is what all of that adds up to, Nora.
And that's a good explanation of just how much further we have to go and the potential litigation that also exists, given that there is a vote count still ahead, that as the race is going to hinge